Let me say something that might sting a little. And honestly, this whole video is about the tea. So let's just get into it, okay? Just because you're auditioning doesn't mean anyone is actually watching. And this pertains to resumes, applying to jobs. The awkward videos that we have to do these days, where you stare into a camera and explain how passionate you are about whatever company. Because, yeah, as a 5 year old, as a 10-year old, my whole life, I was passionate about your company. Come on now. And still, despite all of this, nobody might actually see you. And it's disheartening to go through that process. And when you realize it, it messes with your head and you start thinking, am I the problem? Is my resume the problem? Is my experience the problem? Is the gap on my resume the problem? When in actuality, it's a system that was built this way. It was built to filter people out and not necessarily to bring them in. So I know for me, this realization hit really hard, not only when I was a recruiter and it was my job to filter people, but also after I was laid off and then I had to find a job. And at first I was very frustrated, but then after a while, I was just kind of like, well, if this is a system, if I understand the system, let me lean into it. So in this video, I'm going to share shifts, that's a hard word, three shifts that landed me a remote six-figure job in 3 months after a layoff, after taking 1 year off and having a gap in my resume. We know that in this current climate, it is really hard to not only find a job, but to find a remote job. So here's what I did. I learned that trying harder isn't always the answer because you can hustle yourself into burnout and still get nowhere. I know I did. So the real question is, if the traditional way doesn't work, what does? And this video wants to give you that clarity. So that's what I'm going to do. So if you've ever felt like screaming to the void, wondering what you're doing wrong, I've been there. But once I understood how hiring really works in this digital age, in this AI age, everything changed. And that's what I want to share with you. The shift that took me from being stuck and invisible to seen, hired, and much more confident. So let's talk about it. There's this thing that happens when you're job searching. You start to feel like you're performing, right? And that performance is not, it's not working. It's like you're auditioning for a part in a play where no one told you the script and nobody's watching you. And it's like, at least if someone is watching you, they're giving you feedback and they're engaging with you in some way. But if you're just performing and shucking and jiving and doing all this stuff and you're not getting anything done, it's, oh my God, it's frustrating. Because you spend hours tweaking your resume, reworking your bullet points, recording takes of you explaining how excited about a job you barely know anything about. And then nothing, not the rejection, not the come in for the interview, nothing. No rejection, no feedback, silence. And that silence is not neutral, it eats away at you. I've talked to people who have applied for 100, 200, even 300 jobs. And every unanswered application chips away at your confidence. It's kind of even worse than a rejection. So as for a rejection, you can like close a tab. You can just be like done. But with no feedback, it's slowly it stops feeling like a professional search and starts feeling like you're begging for a job, begging to be part of this society, this economy. It's giving, please pick me. I promise I'll work hard. I can learn. I'll do better. And that kind of energy, that audition energy, oh my gosh, it'll burn you out so fast. I know it burned me out. Like even just remembering it, I'm like, whoa. It's exhausting and it's disheartening. And worst of all, it makes you question yourself when you should be questioning the system. Because hiring systems are built to filter people out as fast as possible and to reward effort and enthusiasm. That's the game. And no one tells you that's the game that you're playing. But that's why I'm here to tell you that the game you're playing is how can you show your value and how can you do that enthusiastically and keep up the stamina throughout the 4 or 5 rounds. And once I saw that clearly, it clicked. I don't have to play fair in a game that's not fair. I have to play smart. And that shift right there, that's when things started to change. I felt like I was doing everything right, and it still felt like I was screaming in the void. And then once I figured that out, not only did I help myself, but I've worked with clients who have also used this strategy, because I've worked with clients who were laid off and thought to themselves, okay, I'll be back in a role in a couple of months, tops, submitting application after application, tailoring each one, paying to have their resumes redone, showing up in interviews, doing the follow up emails, trusting the process, and still nothing. When weeks turned into months, holidays came and went. It, it's like watching paint dry, but in this case, it's like watching the days go by, wondering, am I really about to hit the new year with zero leads, another month with zero leads? And it doesn't just hurt your bank account, it hurts your spirit, because you're doing everything they said to do, and it's still not enough. And that is so frustrating. And at some point in my journey, I had a moment and I was like, it's not like a dramatic Hollywood turning point. It's just kind of like a exhausted realization of this system is not built to care how hard I try. And when that clicked, I stopped trying to audition. I stopped trying to be picked, and I started learning how to be positioned, because while I was grinding, I started noticing something. There were people landing jobs without mass applying, people who didn't seem to jump through the same hoops I was, and they were getting hired, and they were getting hired in good jobs, getting paid well. And it wasn't because they were better, but because they were just obvious. They were visible, they were clear and confident. They were not perfect, they did not know everything. However, they were just easier to place in someone's mental map of, oh, I know what this person does. I know why they'll be valuable here, and I know what problem they will solve for me ASAP. And once I made that shift, and I started teaching others how to make that shift, it became easier, because instead of trying to fit into a job description, it's really about owning your own narrative. It's you're no longer waiting to be discovered, and you start being intentional about how you show up online, in conversations and messaging. You become a lighthouse that says, hey, this is the direction to safety, to profit, to whatever value the employer is looking for. And it wasn't easy, but honestly, it was I that was a skill that I was willing to learn and explore. Because once I stopped auditioning and started positioning myself, I knew I had to do more than just think differently. I had to move differently as well. And here are the three shifts that actually move the needle for me. Not theories, not thought leadership, just actual strategies that help me go from ignored to hired. First, code applying, but with strategy. Now, if you spend any time online, whether it's LinkedIn, Threads, wherever, we're always told that cold applying doesn't work. And yeah, if you are one of 500 people applying 4 days late with a generic resume, it probably won't work. But cold applying with intention, that's a whole different story, because timing is everything. The difference between being applicant number 12 and applicant number 312 is massive, because when you're applicant number 12 and you fit the problem that is trying to be solved, the recruiter is going to send you along. Once the recruiter finds, I don't know, the top 6 people, they're done. And more often than not, especially in this economy, you can probably find the 6 people in the first 50 applications or 100. So if you're applicant number 300 and whatever, they might not get to your application. So here's what I did, and here's what I tell my clients to do. First, get clear on the value you have, and then create a master resume so that way it's easy for you to submit resumes. And then set up job alerts. So you can set up job alerts with Google. In Google search, you can set up job alerts through LinkedIn, and you can also go on specific companies. So for example, when I was applying for jobs, I knew I either wanted to work for a SaaS company or a fintech company. So I picked my top 5 SaaS, I picked my top 10 fintech, and I set alerts for them. So the minute they had a job, bam, in my inbox. And that made it easy for me to take that master resume I talked about and easily apply. And I'll link in the description some resume templates if you want to do that. So it wasn't really about perfecting my resume every time. It was really about executing and just less thinking, more doing, right? I learned how to make my resume talk I wasn't just listing things. I wasn't bragging. I was talking to the person that I wanted to hire me. And that's what got me hired with multiple offers, six-figure offers. Because my billets didn't say I'm responsible for it. They said, here's a problem I solved, here's how I did it, and here's what happened next. Hire me, I will do the same for you. So I was no longer just submitting a document, I was telling a story. And that's the work I do with clients. I help them unpack their value, their story, so they can be seen as a clear answer. So, number one, code apply with intention. Number two, networking, but not in a cringe way. Now, let's talk about this because a lot of people see networking as this cringe thing because it feels fake, transactional, pretending to care. But if you're actually curious about the job, the person, their transition, their pivots, the work that they do, all that stuff of like understanding the job, then it becomes less about, oh, let me hit this person up so they can get me a job or a referral. And it becomes more about, oh, I'm actually curious. For someone like me, I've pivoted 5 times. I started out as a school social worker and I currently am a change management strategist at a SaaS company. In that journey, I pivoted 5 times, done a ton of things in between, different industries, different job titles. And I genuinely geek out when I see other people's pivots. And when I reach out to them and I'm like, yo, hey, how did you do this? I'm genuinely interested in it. And because of that, 10 times, someone offers me a referral without me asking. Why? Because I'm curious. I'm adding my own insights, my own expertise. I'm like, oh my gosh, how did you do that? I tried that too, or I didn't even think about that. People want someone that's excited about their stuff. And especially if you think about it, there are two people, and this is spectrum, but like there are two people. There's someone who's either really excited about their job and geeking about their job, and they want to geek out with you too, or someone who's kind of like burnt out and over it. So they see someone injecting new energy, they get a little pep too. And why not bring some joy in someone's life? So I encourage you to send out that message on LinkedIn and say, hey, I saw you transition from X role recently. I'm exploring a similar path. I would love to hear what helped you succeed or what you wish you knew earlier. That's it. You don't have to ask for anything. You don't have to pitch yourself. People will respond generously. I will say I did get a job from directly pitching and kind of going back to what I said earlier. I knew exactly what the problem they were trying to solve was. So my LinkedIn message to that person, that VP, was, hey, I see you're trying to solve this. This is what I've done to solve it. Let's chat. And then I got the job like a week later. So that is also another option, but that one is very direct, no fluff. Like I'm answering, I get it, what you need. And you know that I can do that for you. So those are the 2 ways you can do that. Okay, now the last one, the third one, market yourself. Okay. My best friend texted me the other day. She's like, oh, we should go to more conferences so you can sell yourself in person. And I said, sell myself. Sell myself. I'm classy. Anyway, I'm annoying. But yes, you have to market yourself. You have to sell and let people know about the value that you offer, about the problems that you solve, right? Because you cannot talk about yourself in a vague way. You actually have to answer for yourself. What do I actually do well? What problems have I solved? And how can I say that in a way that is clear and immediate to click to somebody so they can clock that, yes, I'm the person for them to hire. Because once you clarify your value, once I clarified my value, I stopped hiding behind corporate buzzwords and trying to sound all smart. I just realized what I'm good at. I updated my LinkedIn headlines. I started attracting more people into my inbox. When I was reaching out to people, I also knew, oh, these are the words that I can say because this is the value that I bring, right? So I also started seeing my networking emails as a peer, and not a peer as in like, oh, if I'm reaching out to a CEO who's been running a company for 20 years, I'm their peer type in per se, but like I'm a peer in terms of like I have my own value and my own knowledge that I know this person can also benefit from. So that has worked, marketing myself. And when people understand what you do and how you think, they remember you and they advocate for you and you become the obvious choice for a lot of different things. And that's the work we do together, right? Understanding how you are the business. As Jay-Z said, I'm not a businessman, I'm a businessman. You aren't just an employee doing someone's bidding. Like me, I am the business. You are the business. And once you understand the value that you can bring to any situation you're in, it becomes so much easier to translate that into your resume, your LinkedIn, your conversations. And that's what gets people jobs, especially in this economy where AI can give you so much information so quickly. So what makes you stand out is your judgment and your experience. So once you're able to package that, you can do that. And none of these shifts happen overnight. But each one, and the shifts meaning the three I just shared around code applying, marketing, yourself, and just really understanding your value and being able to network in that way. Okay. So it's really important to just pay attention to everything that is around you, because once you understand your value, you're able to chip away at that, like, please pick me energy, that desperation energy, and you're able to replace it with here's what I bring energy, and that gets you hired quicker. Okay. Now, the last part, because we're already at 60 minutes. If you're currently employed, even if you're checked out, even if you hate it, you have leverage. I got excited. You're getting paid, and that means you've got access to something so many job seekers wish they had, a live case study. If someone is paying your company and then your company's paying you, that means there's something being offered that the market currently values. And you're sitting inside a business that's paying people to solve problems. That means you can learn. And it's so important to pay attention to everything: how decisions are made, what roles hold real influence, what languages gets buy-in, or what language gets buy-in, what metrics actually move the needle, what problems keep popping up. And these aren't just things happening at work and another annoying Zoom meeting. No, it's an opportunity for you to, rather than zone out, zoom in. Because yes, the paycheck is nice and the health insurance is nice, and we, deserve that, need that. But also the real payment, the real transformation is understanding what moves things and what attracts money to you. Because once you understand that, then you stop auditioning. No matter what happens to the economy, you stop auditioning and you start showing up to be understood. You start showing up solving problems because you understand how the machine works. And you stop asking, why won't they choose me? And you start just projecting your value, your skill, which then makes it obvious that you're able to solve someone's problem. And at that point, it's like, why wouldn't they choose you? And that's the shift that changes timelines, changes bank accounts, changes mental health. So I'll stop here, but your career doesn't need more grinding. It needs just smarter leverage, better clarity, sharper positioning. And once you learn how to do that, the system doesn't feel so impossible anymore. There's still work to be done, but it's not as as gloomy. It feels a little bit more, you can navigate it more. You have a GPS. When a GPS makes a mistake, it says rerouting. And so rather than feeling like, oh my gosh, I messed up, let me just like stop my car on the side of the highway, you're like, cool, let me reroute. I see that exit. I'll take that exit and either loop back to where I need to be, or actually I can go someplace else. So if this resonated, subscribe to this channel, hit the subscribe button and share it with someone who needs to hear this today, who's in the job search and who's wondering what's next. And if you're ready for the next step, work with me. I'll link in the description. All right, see you tomorrow.